Hi folks, this is All the Fruit, and today I want to talk again about the most underappreciated fruit of Europe, the cherry plum. It's a beautiful Indian summer in the last week of October. We used the whole day for work. Now we are done with haymaking, and so we can enjoy some nice cherry plums. Look at them, look, this tree is loaded. I hope you can see it. It has tens and tens of thousands of fruit. Very few of them are in the sun. Most of them are in the shade. But I hope you can still appreciate the amount of cherry plums. Let's try to look at them from the inside. I hope you can see the difference between the plums and the leaves. There are almost as many plums as there are leaves. Just look at that, folks. Well, why is the cherry plum the most underappreciated fruit of Europe, in my opinion? Well, it grows everywhere. It grows in the Mediterranean, although better in the sub-Mediterranean climates. It grows in pretty high mountains, and I guess for that reason it will also grow wild throughout most parts, even cold parts of Russia and Scandinavia. So it grows pretty much everywhere in Europe, although it originates from the Balkans and Caucasus area. But it grows wild or feral throughout most climates of Europe. It's being commonly used as rootstock for domestic plums. Well, look at the domestic plum tree. What happens to it? It dies. But around it, there are tons and tons of vigorous cherry plum trees growing here without being planted. Well, if they were planted as rootstock, they were planted. But the suckers of this rootstock produce more trees. Every seed the birds drop somewhere has a chance to develop into a new cherry plum tree. They grow everywhere without any care. Even when it's a horrible year where the late frost kill all the other fruit tree blooms, there will be cherry plum blossoms and there will be cherry plum. I've never experienced a year without cherry plums. Here on this hill, there were many years without apples, without plums, without cherries, without pears or quinces, but never a year without cherry plums. Well, this is one of the reasons the cherry plum is one of the most valuable and most underappreciated fruit of Europe. The other one, I already mentioned it, rootstock for domestic plums. The third reason is it's one of the two parent species of pretty much all the domestic plum varieties which are important in the world nowadays. The other one being the blackthorn. And another reason, which might not be that obvious if you don't watch my channel, is this stuff is here forever. I think I made my first cherry plum video this year in May, when there were already edible, green but edible cherry plums. Most fruit are disgusting while unripe, not the cherry plum. It's actually quite tasty when completely unripe. Then I made a video in June or July showing you the diversity of cherry plum colors and tastes right here on this mountain. And now we are almost November. I'm making this video in the last week of October, but basically if I would come in the first 1 or 2 weeks of November, despite cold and wet, long cold and wet periods in summer and autumn, I could still harvest those cherry plums in November. So this is a fruit which is edible, which is available from May through November. That's basically half a year, if you are lucky, more than 6 months throughout the year when this one fruit is available. The only fruit that can rival this is the apple, and only if you store it in your basement. But the only fruit available on the trees for over 6 months, the only fruit I know in Europe, is the cherry plum. Let's try it. This variety was ripe already in July, and now in October it's still nice and fresh. Oh, those fruit are a little bit mealy. Let me take two fruit which are still a little bit reddish, which might be kind of late fruit. Also a little bit mealy. So after being ripe for, let's see, July, August, September, October, after being in the ripe state on this tree for 4 months, they're just a little bit mealy, but still nice and sweet and tasty. Well, the domestic plums have rotted away many months ago, and even the last grapes and quinces and apples are rotting due to the wet autumn. Those soft fruit have been in the ripe state on this tree for over a quarter of a year and are still perfectly intact. Look at them. Thousands over thousands of fruit. And can I spot a single rotten one? A single moldy one? A single which is squished and damaged? No. Ain't that amazing? A fruit that can grow in pretty much every European climate without any care. Which tastes quite good. Well, it's a plum. It tastes like a plum. And which is available for basically 6 months throughout spring, summer and autumn. Well, maybe the cactus fruit, Opuntia ficus indica, in the Mediterranean, on the Mediterranean coasts of Europe, has even a longer fruiting season, but it has only very limited distribution, basically in the Mediterranean coastal areas. And this year, this you can find everywhere, from the sub-Mediterranean through the pretty cold mountain areas of Europe. Enjoy it once more, folks. Enjoy this bounty. Well, few people eat it in large amounts, but you can make it quite well into like plum brandies. Also, you can make preserves, jams, jellies, compotes out of it. On the Balkans, we use it for a lot of stuff. People also eat it out of hand, although it's not as popular on the markets as the domestic plums. And I want to mention one more thing. Unfortunately, it's so successful that it's invasive in large parts of Europe. So, yeah, there are actually too many of those wonderful trees. But still better than some completely useless plant being invasive. This at least is very good for bees in spring, for birds and lots of other animals in summer, and the seeds are very good for rodents and other seed and nut eating animals in autumn and winter. So folks, this was the great cherry plum, the most underappreciated fruit of Europe. Stay tuned for a lot more fruit videos from the gardens and orchards of Heidelberg, and don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe.